This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. I saw my wife's secret account on the internet. She was playing a strange game. Challenge 1. Kick him. Completed. Challenge 2. Pull out 3 of his hairs. Completed. Challenge 3. Punch him. Completed. Challenge 51. Kiss another person of the opposite sex. Completed. By the end, I was covered in cold sweat. Challenge 100. Kill him. To be completed. After a long search, I found out that this is a very popular dark game on the internet. 100 challenges to destroy your partner. The game's concept is bizarre. It advocates loving yourself more than loving others, and to love yourself, you need to complete 100 challenges that harm your partner. It starts easy and gradually becomes more difficult. From the 30th challenge onwards, it gets violent. By the 50th, it involves infidelity. By the 80th, it becomes perverted. It's hard to imagine how a normal person could come up with these 100 challenges. Ethics, morality, legality, and even humanity are trampled on. I didn't want to think about the creative process. My wife had already completed the later stages of the challenges. To prove the authenticity of her challenges, many of them included photos or videos. In challenge 51, she kissed another man. Although the photo was blurred, his lips and tongue were visible. Challenge 52, tell another person of the opposite sex that you don't love them. Completed. Challenge 53, reveal another person of the opposite sex's embarrassing secrets. Completed. Challenge 54, make a sexual suggestion to another person of the opposite sex. Completed. These 3 challenges used the same video. The image was dark, but it was clear they were in a car. The man was lying in the passenger seat, and she whispered in his ear, "I don't love him at all. I could never marry someone like him. Just thinking about it makes me sick. You know what? He doesn't even seem like a man. He's just a beast. By the way, I bought new stockings. Do you want to see them? If you want, I'll show you." My wife's voice was sultry and flirtatious. I had never heard her speak like this. She showed her most feminine side to others. I clenched my fists, my mind numb. My blood seemed to be running in the wrong veins, crashing around inside me. I desperately told myself to stay calm, but my eyes and fingers couldn't stop scrolling. Challenge 55, actively cling to another person of the opposite sex. Completed. Challenge 56, show your most sexy underwear to another person of the opposite sex. Completed. Challenge 60, tell another person of the opposite sex your favorite sexual position. Completed. Challenge 70, hold hands with another person of the opposite sex while walking in a busy street. Completed. Challenge 80, spend a night with another person of the opposite sex, but don't let anything happen. Completed. Challenge 90, have physical relations with another person of the opposite sex. To be completed. Suddenly, the page refreshed. Challenge 90, have physical relations with another person of the opposite sex. Completed. Just yesterday, my wife said she was going on a business trip. An hour ago, we talked on the phone. She said, "Honey, I just checked into the hotel. I'm so tired and want to sleep early tonight. I'll be alone tonight, so please forgive me." She wasn't put out. She should be very satisfied. The photos below show dim lighting, a hotel's big bed, her sexy robe, and a man sleeping behind her. Although her face wasn't visible, I'm 100% certain it was her. The voice before was hers, and the photos now are hers. Haley, my wife of 3 years. I immediately took out my phone to call her, but at the last moment before pressing dial, I stopped my finger. I forced myself to stay calm and went to the bathroom to turn on cold water, using the biting cold to counteract the rage inside me. Haley's betrayal couldn't be an accident. She was the campus belle, an icon of culture. During her university years, luxury cars were parked outside daily. Hundreds of roses were delivered to her dorm, and there were always boys eager to see her. Her marrying me was a coincidence. Her parents were imprisoned for financial crimes, and the rich second-generation suitors around her scattered like birds and beasts, disappearing without a trace. When she was most isolated and helpless, I appeared, giving her support and comfort, helping her return to a normal life. There should have been feelings involved. Love, I can't say. Back at the computer, I was shaking from the cold. When I touched the mouse, the post scrolled to the end. Challenge 100, kill him. To be completed. I read through all the challenge content until dawn. This challenge is either anti-human or anti-life. Because it is so dark, many major platforms have banned the game, and only a few small sites still allow it to attract some traffic. Haley completed 90 challenges in silence, and I didn't notice at all. I was played with, hurt, and publicly humiliated by the woman I deeply loved. I didn't understand why she did this or how far she wanted wanted to go, but I knew she had just slept with someone else. Though this relationship may have no chance of salvage, it's necessary to understand it clearly. I tried to leave a comment on her post in English. Impressive. I have never seen such an exciting challenge process on the forum in 5 years. Please continue. I promise I will be your loyal fan. I sing for you on the Caribbean coast. I registered the account 5 years ago, but only to find information, so I had never posted anything, had no avatar, and even the name was a random number. When I changed clothes and came back, Haley actually replied to me, "Thank you. I will continue. I will reach 100 challenges." I felt a blackout. Challenge 100 was going to be the death of me. I composed myself and immediately responded to Haley. "Oh my God, you spoke to me. I'm so excited. This means you are a real person. I now officially declare that you are my idol. I'm very interested in your story. If you're interested in my story, I'll tell you more if I get the chance. I have to go to work now. Good luck." Great. Please remember there's a loyal listener of yours on the other side of the earth. As you can see, I've never had a name on the forum, so now I declare that I will change my name to Love Cat K. I wish you success at work. Haley once had a cat named KK. After KK passed away, Haley changed all her online names to Catkin Heaven. After sending this reply, my phone buzzed. Haley sent me a voice message. "Honey, I'm heading out to work. Do you miss me? I miss you. Send me a message when you wake up. I'll give you a kiss when I get back." After marrying Haley, she had always been so gentle and weak, like a little girl. If it weren't for accidentally discovering her dark game, I would have loved her wholeheartedly for a lifetime. I lay on the bed, showing half my face, and made a video call. Haley answered quickly. "Honey, you're awake so early?" I pretended to be sleepy, mumbling, "Without you, even sleeping is hard." Haley laughed happily. "You only know how to say nice things. Be good and wait for me. I'll be back in 2 or 3 days. Okay, I'll listen to my wife." After ending the video call, I pulled out the prenuptial agreement. This agreement was drafted by Haley and insisted upon signing. When I showed it to the company's legal director, Old Jack, he said he had never seen a prenuptial agreement like this. The agreement stipulated that all assets before marriage belonged to the individual, and each party's income after marriage was also their own. In other words, even though we were married, it was like being unmarried. Each earned and spent their own money, and debts were also individually borne. If I had written this agreement, it would have made sense. But after Haley's parents were imprisoned and her family was heavily in debt, this agreement didn't benefit her at all. But she insisted on signing it. If she didn't, there would be no marriage. At the time, I felt a bit touched, thinking she had grown a lot after a major setback. I couldn't make sense of it, so I asked Old Jack to meet with me. Old Jack was involved in every part of my wedding and knew my family situation well. After listening to my questions about divorce, he said meaningfully, "I've reviewed your prenuptial agreement. If you force a divorce, Haley can only take her own income and nothing else. Any debts you've paid off for her, she will need to repay you. What if I die? That's a matter of inheritance, not the agreement. Since your parents are gone and you have no children, your wife will be the only legal heir." I had considered this, but if she was after my inheritance, why go through the previous 99 challenges? Seeing me lost in thought, Old Jack frowned and said, "Rocky, your wife is beautiful and kind. She always brings small gifts for the staff at the company. Public opinion is quite good. You should think carefully." I snapped back to reality and cursed, "You old fool. Do you think I have someone else outside?" Old Jack quickly shook his head. "No way. I'm just envious. Every family has its own difficulties. Understanding is eternal. Find a cleaner way to check if Haley had a male friend who went abroad before she met me." "Yes, his name is Tony. I reported this to you before, and you said you knew." "I don't remember at all. At that time, you were about to go for a wedding dress fitting and didn't want to listen to me." I remembered. Haley had urged me to finalize the wedding dress, and Old Jack came for the last premarital briefing. I was anxious to marry Haley and didn't pay any attention to what Old Jack said. Indeed, people only hear what they want to hear. "What's the situation with this, Tony? Let me think." Old Jack took a deep breath. "Tony is Haley's childhood sweetheart and likely her first love. He didn't attend a domestic university but went abroad for a few years. When Haley's family fell into trouble, he didn't return and stayed abroad for another 2 years. So that's it. When Haley needed support the most, he stayed abroad. Only when Haley married me did he rush back and secretly frame me. Look into Tony's family business. I remember his family is involved in the medical field. I'll check again." After sending off Old Jack, I went home and took a nap. When I opened my eyes again, it was already 5 p.m. and Haley was smiling at me with wide eyes by the bedside. "Why are you back?" I asked in surprise. "I missed you, so I came back." "What's up? Were you planning to bring someone back while I was gone?" "Don't talk nonsense. Are you hungry? I'll go make something to eat." "I'm not hungry. I finished work early and came back." back. Look at you, sleeping in the middle of the day and even drooling a bit. Isn't that dirty? Haley pulled out a tissue and wiped the corner of my mouth, then picked up her phone from the side. Aren't you feeling unwell, sleeping until now? I just wanted to lie down for a while. I didn't expect to fall asleep. I got out of bed. Haley's suitcase was still by the door, so she must have just returned. I brought the best hot dog buns and pizza from over there. Just heat them up and they're ready to eat. I'll go send a file and come back to heat them. Haley went into the room. I quietly entered the study, opened the forum, and soon she had updated her post. Challenge 91. Make your partner touch something that has your and another person of the opposite sex's bodily fluids on it. Completed. My stomach began to churn. Haley had also posted a photo of a tissue that clearly had been used, with 2 patches of sticky, wet fluid on it. Recalling how she had just wiped my mouth, I almost vomited stomach acid. Honey, I'm heating up the food, Haley shouted from outside. I suppressed the churning in my stomach, turned off the computer, and went out to say, no, there's still work at the company. You go ahead and eat. Haley ran over and hugged me. Honey, come back early. I have a gift for you. I drove to the company with my computer and continued to browse the forum. Haley's ongoing challenges were attracting more and more users. In just a few minutes, she had received hundreds of comments in various languages and scripts. After watching for a while, Haley was replying to comments in both Chinese and English. Because he is very brutal to me, he torments me, abuses my nerves. He demands that I must kneel down to talk to him, otherwise he will beat me. He threatens me with nude photos, forcing me to obey his orders. Some also expressed doubts. I have carefully read all your challenges, and I feel that you are lying. You can appear behind him to pull out his hair, and you can also appear beside him when he is fast asleep. If he is really a demon as you say, he should imprison you and should not trust you so much. Similar doubts were quickly deleted. I waited patiently until it was past 7 o'clock, which is 8 in the morning in the Caribbean. Good morning, Catkin Heaven. I am very excited to see your update. This is another step towards your goal. I am particularly interested in knowing, how do you plan to complete Challenge 100? Won't you go to jail for this in your country? Haley replied quickly. It's evening here. Good evening. Regarding Challenge 100, I have a very good method to cause his death without implicating myself. Please look forward to my challenge update. Haley's English is really good. I checked back and forth for a long time before I believed she didn't make a typo. She must kill me. At 9 p.m., old Jack finally replied to a few of my messages. Tony's family is in the medical equipment business, and their income has always been good. They made a big profit from masks a couple of years ago. His father has a keen eye for business and sold the entire company and factory at the peak, cashing out several $100 million. After getting rich, Tony's family invested in several businesses, real estate, internet, you name it. They invested in whatever was popular. It went well at first, but the trend has declined in the past 2 years. Only one information services company is still operating. The rest are all losing money. And the biggest client of this information services company is our company. Not long ago, Tony's father had some troubling results in his medical checkup. He hasn't shown up for a while, so he must be suffering from a serious illness. I've gathered this information so far. I'll report any progress as soon as I have it. I looked at the screen and saw that Haley's next challenge was Challenge 92. Engrave a symbol representing you and another person of the opposite sex on a gift. Give it to him and make him say he likes it. No wonder she said she had a gift for me. When I got home, Haley was watching TV in the living room. Honey, you've worked hard. Come sit down. I have a gift for you. Haley pulled me to the dining table, sat down opposite me, and took out a gift box. Tada! I opened the gift box, and inside was a watch. Why are you giving me a watch? It's not a special day. Because you've given me happy times, and I want us to last forever. Also, with this business, I can make some money and pay off the debt I owe you sooner. Is it strange to give a gift to my creditor? The back of the watch was engraved with a line of text, happy and thankful. What does this mean? It means you and me. Haley pointed to the words and said, you are my sun, bright and warm, so your sun. And I'm your breeze, gently blowing around you. When you think of me, I'm everywhere. When you don't, I'm not, so I'm Zephyr. Such an obscure word. She managed to come up with it. It's clearly the initials of Haley and Tony. Do you like it? Haley's eyes were wide with anticipation. I like it. I nodded and touched her nose. I like whatever you give me. I really wanted to slap myself, as if loudly proclaiming my love for the hat on my head. I'm glad you like it. I'm going to watch some shows in the room. You can play a game or something. Haley skipped off to the room, and soon there was an update on the forum. Challenge 92. Engrave a symbol representing you and another person of the opposite sex on a gift. Give it to him and make him say he likes it. Completed. This post had no photos or videos, perhaps because there was no opportunity to take pictures in that setting. In less than than 24 hours, Haley had updated 3 challenges. My time was running out, and each remaining challenge was more outrageous. Challenge 93. Appear in front of him with another person of the opposite sex. Challenge 94. Have dinner with another person of the opposite sex. Challenge 95. Make him spend a significant amount of money on you and another person of the opposite sex. Challenge 96. Confess your love to another person of the opposite sex in front of him. Challenge 97. Have him suffer a serious injury. Challenge 98. Make it so he never recovers. Challenge 99. Make him aware of everything. Turning off my phone, I sensed that my time was running short, but a divorce without any reason was both passive and risky. As old Jack said, Haley had a great reputation among the public. Even he thought the problem was with me. I'm good at business, but now, knowing that my bedmate wants to kill me, I'm at a loss. In a daze, I felt a strand of hair brush my face. Haley was close, looking at me. Honey, I have something I want to report to you. What is it? First, promise you won't be mad. You're my treasure. How could I be mad? Hee hee. Haley sat next to me, linking her arm with mine. When I was little, I had a neighbor named Bame. Bame had a son named Tony. We grew up together, but he went abroad later. Recently, Uncle Bame said he's back and wants to find something to do. He asked if I could see if there were any opportunities for him to collaborate with you. His family used to be in the medical equipment business, but they've moved on, so there's no job left for his son. Then bring him over to meet me. Bring him over? Haley was incredulous, perhaps doubting my directness. But you haven't even asked, is he your first love? Haley blushed. It's okay. I love you and trust you. I happen to have a few new business opportunities. We can chat first and then have a meal together. Let him see that you're doing well, and he won't keep thinking about you. You're awful. Haley blinked and said, thank you, honey. Go get that bottle of wine from the basement that's been aging for 10 years and give it to him later. I don't want people saying I'm stingy. That bottle is worth $200,000. For you, it's worth it. Oh, I'm going to take a shower. Haley kissed me and bounced off to the bathroom. Meeting, having dinner, spending money. Another chance for her to update 3 challenges. She couldn't be unhappy. I lied about needing to work and stayed in the study until midnight. When I went into the bedroom, Haley was already asleep. She looked like an angel while sleeping. Her hair, her skin, her face, and her body. Everything was beautiful. I lay down beside her fully clothed, closed my eyes, and felt like these past few days were from another world. I wanted to sleep, but kept waking up, always feeling like someone was pulling out a knife from under the pillow and swinging it at me. In the haze, I made up my mind. Before I die, I must divorce her and use money to make her stop the challenges. If she refuses, I will confront her directly. But before that, I need to gather enough for negotiations. As dawn approached, I got up from bed and logged onto the forum to send her a private message. I've hardly done anything all day, just waiting for your updates. Yesterday, my father asked me to go fishing at sea, but once out there, I would lose network connection. I refused him for the first time. I'm not a good son, am I? Just now, the rescue team came looking for me, saying my father's boat lost contact, and they are preparing to search. I'm very worried, but there's nothing I can do. I should be out at sea with him. I'm truly awful. At this moment, only you are still supporting me without letting me fall. But where are you? Who are you? Why are you so enchanting? Oh God, this is so tormenting. My friend told me I could find you on your country's network, but I don't understand Chinese at all. I had no choice but to search your name. I found these photos. Are they of you? If so, you are incredibly beautiful. You are the most beautiful angel in the world. I found some photos from Haley's public Weibo, mostly street shots from when she was out. As long as she replies confirming it's her, the post owner can be pinpointed to her. Even if the foreign network cannot serve as criminal evidence, it's enough to embarrass her publicly. I returned to bed and Haley hugged me. She often does this while sleeping, cuddling up to me or pushing me to the edge of the bed, like a cat showing affection to someone it trusts. After getting up, I told her to go directly to the restaurant in the evening. We could talk while eating, saving me from having to arrange a reception at the company. Haley agreed readily, as the challenge did not require going to the company. That day, I was distracted at work, frequently losing focus and making mistakes in meetings. Old Jack, noticing my preoccupation, forcibly dragged me to the rooftop to get some fresh air. I've made up my mind, I said. Divorce. I can't tell you the real reason. Even if I did, you wouldn't believe it. You organized the wedding. The divorce is up to you. Old Jack said with a stern face, we in the legal profession only believe in facts. If that person is better than your wife, I understand. If he isn't, I understand too. Men and their unattainable dreams, right? I mentally cursed him, thinking, what do you know about understanding? Do you know what it feels like to face serious injury and death? Understanding is fine, I said. I'll talk to her first. If the discussion goes well, you just need to process it. If not, you'll have to take the agreement and negotiate further. Got it. You're the boss. Also, I want to know about monitoring. I advise you not to use such methods to invade your wife's privacy. It'll be uncomfortable for you to know the truth, and it's illegal. It's not worth it. Anyway, the result will be the same. Why gather more details? I thought about it and agreed. The green hat had been on my head for so long, and everyone had witnessed this spectacular process. Why did I need to see Haley and Tony together up close? Hadn't Haley already jabbed me enough? Did I need to jab myself further? I believe your wife is not that kind of person. You shouldn't use such methods against her. Also, exposing it will be very disadvantageous for you. I don't care. Tonight, I'll have dinner with them. I stumbled on the words with them, feeling especially awkward. After dinner, you should follow Tony and find a way to plant some kind of device on him. At 7 p.m., Haley arrived with Tony. To facilitate old Jack's ambush, I booked a table in the main hall. Sorry, there are no private rooms available. No problem. Let me introduce you. This is my husband Rocky, and this is Tony, a neighbor I've known since childhood. Hello, Rocky. I've heard a lot about you. Tony extended his hand, and I reluctantly shook it. Just thinking about that hand touching Haley made me lose my appetite for even a cucumber slice. Haley told me about your situation. We happen to have a supplier who was invested in by your father, so I know a bit. How's business these days? I said, pushing the menu towards Haley. Tony quickly introduced his family's situation, which was similar to what old Jack had found out. The economic environment was poor, several investments were losses, and with his father's chronic illness, the business had to be handed over to him. So he had to awkwardly ask Haley to introduce him and hope for more support in the future. A man asking me for help, a woman with challenges to complete. Seems like I'm just a pig being fattened for the festival. After a brief chat, Tony was quite handsome and articulate. Having studied abroad for many years, he was well-traveled, which might explain why Haley rekindled her old feelings with him. By the way, I almost forgot to mention, it's our first meeting, and Haley insisted I make a gesture. Here it is, from France. Haley took out a wine box from her bag. I could tell immediately that something was off. Brought back from France. It's not valuable, just a small token from our family's boudoir. Haley continued, handing the wine to Tony and giving me a meaningful glance. The look seemed to say, challenges 93 to 95, all done. But Haley brought the wrong wine. I had asked her to bring a bottle worth 200,000, but she brought a cheap banquet wine, worth less than 2,000 even if she brought 2 bottles. Thank you so much. I also have gifts for both of you. Tony took out a box from his bag and opened it to reveal 2 black pearl brooches. These are from abroad, symbolizing unbreakable love. They're perfect for both of you and not too expensive. Though he claimed they weren't expensive, judging by their size, luster, and smoothness, each brooch was worth at least 20,000 to 30,000. A pair would cost even more. Tony clearly spent a lot to humiliate me. His expression seemed to say, your wife cannot get away with this. Tony's hand also revealed a wooden bead bracelet, which looked incongruous with his suit and tie. This bracelet is quite special, I said. It's engraved with characters. Water? 2 characters for water? Haley's face turned red, and she said sternly, why are you wearing that out? Tony awkwardly replied, I'm sorry, I'm used to wearing it. Honestly, it was a gift from Haley when I returned to the country. I didn't think about today's occasion. I'll take it off now. Haley quickly added, it wasn't a gift, it's a return. It was given to me by his mother for future daughters-in-law. When it became unnecessary, I thought of returning it. It must be a family heirloom from the mother-in-law to the future daughter-in-law. I smiled and said, why are you so anxious? I didn't say anything. Let's eat and discuss possible cooperation. Tony blatantly demonstrated his superiority, implying I wasn't worthy of being his wife. Because of that bracelet, the rest of the meal was a bit gloomy. Haley looked like a child who had done something wrong, with no smile on her face. Of course, with evidence of her affair glaring on her wrist, Tony was likely pressuring her to step up. After dinner, Tony left on his own. As soon as Haley and I got home, old Jack called. Tony is staying at a hotel and will be there for a while. He is probably visiting each client. It's not a high-end hotel. I hung up satisfied, took a shower, and found that the post had indeed been updated. Challenge 93. Appear with another person of the opposite sex in front of him. Completed. Challenge 94. Have dinner with another person of the opposite sex. Completed. Challenge 95. Make him spend a significant amount of money on you and another person of the opposite sex. Completed. The post unusually included several photos. The restaurant, the dishes on the table, 3 wine glasses, and even the date on the menu. In a blur blurred focus. There were two men facing the person sitting, clearly me and Tony, completing 3 challenges at once. Haley was in a great mood, humming a song while doing yoga, hand in hand, step by step, looking at the sky, seeing stars 1, 2, 3, 4, connecting in a line. It was very fitting, as if the challenges were stepping closer to the end. Honey, you're really not angry about the bracelet incident? I'm not angry. Why would I be? I know you, and he grew up together. His mother wanted you to be the daughter-in-law, but that's all in the past. I'm not a child. Hee. Haley smiled. Then let's return the brooches tomorrow. I don't want to keep such expensive gifts. It feels strange. So you replaced the 200,000 wine with cheap stuff? Yes, I didn't want to give him such an expensive gift. It wasn't necessary. I sighed deeply. At that moment, I truly wished I didn't know anything. Haley would have been such a perfect wife if I didn't know all this. As I was lost in regret, Haley replied to me on the forum. No need to know who I am. I will soon complete all challenges. Sure, here's the translation of the text with line breaks preserved and limited to about 200 characters per line. Haley and I arrived at the hotel where Tony was staying early in the morning. It was indeed a very ordinary chain hotel. When we came to return the brooch, Tony looked somewhat dejected. Haley said, "Tony, my husband knows that we once dated and knows that Auntie wanted me to be her daughter-in-law. That's why she gave me this string of beads. But that was all in the past. I am now married to my husband, and I love him very much. So I hope you find someone you love soon. Here's the brooch back. You need it more than we do." Tony said, "I understand. To be honest, our family is in a tough spot right now. My father's illness requires a large sum of money, and his previous investments have been disastrous, with several billion in real estate losses. I had no choice but to use the family's collected items as a facade to impress Rocky. I'm afraid I've only made a fool of myself." I said, "I'll try my best to find a way. Difficulties will eventually pass." Immediately, I regretted comforting someone who had been unfaithful to me. "Your mother also gave me something, a locked box, but I didn't take it and never saw it. Later, Annie said the item was hidden underground in your villa's yard, beneath the red bricks. She said I should dig it up when I moved in, as it's worth more than a mountain of gold. That's all I know. I hope it helps you." Tony's eyes lit up, and he thanked me repeatedly. "Let's go, dear. Let's go get a drink. I have something to discuss with you." "Today? I can't today. I have urgent work. Wait for me to return." "Oh, and don't mention today to anyone. I don't want misunderstandings." Haley hurriedly left. After all, today was the last day of our marriage, and whether it was earlier or later didn't matter much. I went to the cafe where Haley and I first met. I ordered the same coffee from back then and waited quietly for the end of our marriage. Tony has left. Should we follow him? Old Jack suddenly called. He must be going to dig up the treasure at the old house. "No need. You should retrieve the equipment and avoid being noticed." "I didn't place any equipment." I have a big picture view. I don't want to set you up. Prepare the divorce documents." I leaned on the sofa, opened my phone, and once again browsed through Haley's challenges. The initial challenges felt like a prank between two lovers. Then it turned into mutual harm between enemies. Finally, it became deception, conspiracy, and crime. Can a game really turn a person into this? I turned off the phone, closed my eyes, and time passed slowly, as if it were an interminable meeting. Finally, Haley appeared before me. She was made up, wearing an expensive suit, and had a smug smile on her face. She looked at me as if she were gazing at the portrait of a deceased husband. "What do you want to discuss?" She sat there, her dreamy eyes fixed on me. "I've decided." I said, "We should." The phone rang. It was old Jack. Cut it off, and it rang again. I cut it off again, and it rang again. My carefully prepared emotions were completely ruined, so I had to step aside and answer. "Emergency situation. Tony has been arrested." Shortly after he returned to his hometown, the city sent a special car to arrest him. I was confused. Just as Haley's challenges were about to succeed and she was about to be with Tony, how could he be arrested? I returned to my seat, disoriented, and Haley, with a stern face, said, "Dear, we need to leave. No matter what others ask you, just tell the truth." I looked up, and 4 police officers walked into the cafe, heading straight towards us. The police repeatedly questioned me, Haley, and Tony about our relationships, especially what we discussed with Tony at the hotel in the morning. I told the truth. We went to return the black pearl brooch gift because it was too valuable and exceeded acceptable standards. I didn't say much to Tony. Haley mentioned the bracelet and a locked box, which were gifts from Tony's mother to Haley, but I had never seen or heard about them from Haley. I was quickly released, but Haley was delayed by 4 hours. She appeared calm, as if she had never been questioned by the police. The discussion about about divorce was therefore postponed. I was extremely exhausted and dared not go home to sleep, so I found an excuse to rest at the office. When I woke up, Haley sent me a message. "Let's get a divorce." Haley spoke the lines I had been preparing. I was surprised and unsure if I should be. I rushed home, and Haley had already packed her bags. "Dear, this is the last time I'll call you dear." Haley's face no longer had a smug expression, but was instead filled with relief and ease. "Thank you for saving me, marrying me, and giving me a complete family." "Why?" I feigned calmness. "You know, I've deceived you." "What do I know? You're the person on the forum, LoveCatK. You're quite convincing, but no fisherman in the Caribbean has conditions as good as yours, with the latest phone and a birthday on the same day as mine." I felt embarrassed, like a child caught lying. "Since you already know, there's no need for me to explain. Let's set a time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau." "Wait a moment." I quickly reviewed in my mind. Haley realized I knew about her dark game, so she thought it was impossible to kill me, so she proactively proposed divorce and fled. But what does this have to do with Tony being arrested? In the cafe, Haley seemed to have anticipated the police would come for her. It was a strange scene, like a killer wanting to give up and flee while the victim blocked the door. "You're leaving like this, not continuing the challenges?" "What? I mean, don't you still have several challenges left, like killing me?" "Killing you? Why would I kill you?" Haley widened her eyes in confusion. I also widened my eyes, confusedly looking at her. "It's the challenge." I took out my phone and opened the forum. Challenge 100. Kill him? Just as I was about to turn the screen to show Haley, my eyes fell on the latest update. Challenge 96. Confess love to another opposite sex in front of him. Completed. Challenge 97. Inflict a serious injury on him. Completed. Challenge 98. Ensure he has no chance of recovery. Completed. I was bewildered. The last time I saw Tony was at the hotel, and then he left and was arrested afterward. When did Haley confess her love to him in front of me? When did I get seriously injured? No chance of recovery? Seeing my stunned face, Haley sighed. "That game wasn't meant for you." With my brave persistence, Haley put down her suitcase. I cooked a bowl of noodles and turned off all the lights except for the dining table. "The him in the game is not me, it's Tony." Haley wants to hurt, humiliate, and kill Tony. And indeed, in that game, I am called the other gender. I feel a mix of emotions. I shouldn't be happy, right? The one who was supposed to die is not me. Should I be happy? My wife's mind is still on her first love. Tony has been a pervert since childhood. He has been bullying me since junior high school, tormenting me. When no one was around, he forced me to kneel down and talk to him, and took naked photos of me to blackmail me. But our two families have a good relationship, and our families have always wanted to match us up. Plus, Tony is very good at acting in front of others. I can't get rid of him at all. Haley silently talked about the past. On one hand, I coaxed him, making him think he had me under control. On the other hand, I studied hard, just wanting to get into a school he couldn't get into. Later, he went abroad, and I finally had freedom. Except for the holidays when he came home, he repeatedly looked for opportunities to rape me. Listening, I more or less understood that Haley hates Tony, hates to the point of wanting to take his life. But if it was just about hurting me, I wouldn't want him dead. It was his family's business that got into trouble, and my parents were sentenced to prison. From that day on, I vowed that his whole family must be punished. Why use such a long process? 100 challenges, many of which are not painful. Because of him, Haley clenched her fist. He told me that if I didn't obey him, he had 100 ways to torture me to death. More than half of these 100 challenges were read to me by him one by one. There are 2 more challenges. I can't tell you now, or it will implicate you. You are my wife. I will not let you go, nor will I divorce you. Old Jack's message lit up. The divorce papers are ready. We can talk anytime. Haley glanced at the screen and chuckled. Even the phone is making fun of you. That was his own decision. I didn't order it. You will know later. Don't ask me, okay? If you don't leave, I won't ask. Let's live a good life. Haley and I reconciled, and as agreed, I kept silent about Tony and the dark game. But I still secretly had people investigate. Tony rushed back to the old house and dug up a box from the foundation. Without a key, he intended to take the box back to the city, but was intercepted by the police on the way. At the scene, the box was opened and it was filled with white powder. The amount was enough to break city records. Tony was stunned and protested, claiming that Haley had told him it was a family heirloom for their engagement. But Haley said it was actually prepared by Tony's mother, and there was no evidence proving Haley had ever touched the box. Haley also had a text message from Tony's mother from back then, saying she had prepared several boxes of dowry, which Haley had declined as she had just started college. The key to the box was also found in Tony's home. It had been hidden in his own house for years, and Tony couldn't refute it. Tony didn't even know where the box came came from. He had only been back in the country for a little over a year, so the clues naturally pointed to his father. But when his father heard that a box of items had been dug up from the house, he suffered a stroke on the spot. From arrest to sentencing, it took only 2 months, and Tony was about to face the end of his life. On the day of the verdict, I volunteered to visit Haley's parents with her. Her father was sentenced to 6 years, and her mother to 3 years. On the way home, Haley finally cried. Her crying made me feel that her usual gentleness towards me was all pretense. There was a time when Uncle Bame borrowed a warehouse from my dad to store a batch of goods. It turned out that this batch of goods contained hidden items, which led to my dad being tied up with Tony's family. Tony's family used this to coerce my dad into frequently helping them with transfers. My parents became increasingly entangled. Fearing that Tony's family might cause trouble and implicate us, they set up a trap for themselves and ended up in prison for economic crimes. Before being caught, my dad told me about the box from the old house, saying that if Tony's family dared to harm me, he would use it to ruin them. Haley wiped her eyes and continued, "After my parents were sentenced, all the factories and warehouses were auctioned off, severing the connection with Tony's underground business, and their admission of guilt and imprisonment were also a relief for Tony's family, especially since Tony liked me and wanted me to marry into his family, leaving no more hidden dangers. I was in great pain at that time, and it was you who saved me. I was driving, but my mind was clear. Tony's family had been disguising their drug trade by pretending to be in the medical supplies business. They also tried to cash out through high-level schemes to avoid suspicion, wanting to run a legitimate business, but their capabilities were utterly insufficient. Tony, raised in such an environment, was cruel, perverted, and inhumane, taking pleasure in manipulating living beings. He had been obsessed with Haley since childhood, vowing to completely possess her. Haley's revenge, the 100 challenges, began from the day Tony returned to the country. "I love you, but I've deceived you and might even implicate you. After all, this is a matter that can lead to execution. Then why not take revenge secretly? Why post it online? I thought if I died midway, someone might continue, as that bastard committed many heinous acts. Besides, it's also part of Challenge 99. Challenge 99, let him know all of this." No, I still have many questions," I said. Challenge 51, kissing someone of the opposite sex. "Who was that in the photo?" "That was you. Our first kiss in the car. Don't you recognize your own lips?" Then challenges 52 to 54, were those also directed at me? "I don't remember. That's because you were drunk that day. You fell asleep as soon as you got in the car." Then, I wanted to ask more, but my mind told me that the activities involving the opposite sex in the later challenges were all done with me. From actively pressing against me, showing off sexy lingerie, to holding hands and walking on the street, all were with me. How do you explain Challenge 90? The hotel, the big bed, and another man behind you. That was you. That was our honeymoon hotel. You finished and went to sleep, and you like to keep your head covered under the blanket. And Challenge 91? What about the tissue? Tissues? Oh, that was our snot. I gave him an apple. I was speechless and quite embarrassed. It turned out she had forcefully insisted on signing a prenuptial agreement to avoid implicating me if something went wrong. The intimate actions with my wife, and I hadn't even realized they were with me. You've suffered all these years. As the car drove into the garage, I took her hand. Haley looked at me with difficulty and said, "Aren't you worried?" "Worried that I might have another challenge." I asked, "Do you have one?" "Of course not." "No, you do." I took out my phone and opened the memo. Let me see. Challenge 1. Make him a delicious meal, including braised pork knuckles and curry cauliflower. Challenge 2. Wear a beautiful dress and dance for him. Challenge 3. Have a child with him. Challenge 4. Have another child with him. Haley hurriedly blocked me and said, "These challenges are progressing too quickly. The earlier ones should have been simpler. Why does Challenge 3 involve having a child, and Challenge 4 involves having another? What about the later ones? I'll write them as I think of them. What's the problem? Don't you want to?" I do want to." Haley's face turned red, and she lightly kicked me on the leg. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.